I just realized that I'm wearing my hipster lumberjack outfit, as somebody so aptly or accurately put in my comment section of my Mac Mini video, so go watch that. But the same fit is here, but that's not what you came here for. Today, we're gonna be talking about the M4 Pro MacBook Pro model or models, 14-inch or 16-inch, whatever configuration you're looking at. It's a weird year, but a good year for MacBook Pro because the base model is really great. It's no longer held back with the lack of connectivity and RAM and design, which was the case for the past couple years, but no longer. So the question is, besides the processor, which we'll discuss, of course, what else are you paying extra for with these M4 Pro models? So as I just mentioned, the Pro model chip MacBook Pros this year don't offer a design difference or a port difference opposed to the base model, which was the case for the past 2 generations. But in terms of connectivity, it offers Thunderbolt 5 opposed to Thunderbolt 4 with the base model and of course the previous generations. What does this mean? Why is it important? Well, it increases connectivity speeds up to 120 gigabits per second, up from 40 gigabits per second. And that is a big deal because that means you can connect external drives that are almost as fast, if not as fast, as the internal NVMe storage is in your MacBook Pro, meaning that once more external Thunderbolt drives come onto the market, Thunderbolt 5 ones for that matter, like from OWC, for example, you won't have to rely on Apple for internal storage, or you won't have to sort of like buy it up front if you're going to use it and you don't really care where it comes from, if it's external or internal, which is really great because I plan on doing that with any next-gen Mac that I have, because even for me, like 8 terabytes, it's not enough. So if you're a really big, storage person, you need all the storage you can get. This is a big deal. It's sort of an expansion or sort of a, headroom type of thing to look forward to or to take advantage of when the time comes. So this is a big deal. It's also a big deal when it comes to connecting to high-res, high refresh rate displays. So I have a Pro Display XDR back there. The next gen one could be 120 hertz. The only way that's going to happen is with Thunderbolt 5. So you're basically future-proofing yourself for more advanced high-resolution, high-refresh rate displays, but maybe more importantly, faster, storage connectivity if you're a Pro user that needs all of the storage speeds that you can get. But beyond Thunderbolt 5, battery life is a lot better with these new M4 Pro MacBook Pro, specifically with the 14-inch, which had 18-hour battery life with the M2 Pro and M3 Pro, and I think the M1 Pro as well, which was okay. It was sort of MacBook Air refresh territory, definitely beat out by the base M4 or the base chip MacBook Pro, which just sips power a little better. Now you get an additional 4 hours, so 18 up to 22, so you're only losing out on 2 hours compared to the 16-inch MacBook Pro and the base model MacBook Pro 14-inch. So, battery life is more comparable thanks to the second gen 3nm technology in the chips. The last generation was sort of power inefficient. This go around, not so much. So yeah, you gain 4 hours of screen on time with the 14-inch, 2 hours of screen on time with the 16-inch. So again, you're only losing 2 compared to the big MacBook Pro, which you might not want to spend money on, or the base MacBook Pro, which you might not be able to justify buying because it doesn't offer enough power. So all this to say, again, you're not sacrificing battery life just because you want the mid-tier chip without going or getting a laptop that's too big for you and also too expensive as well. But if you want more juice, you're probably going to want to check out Gressel's 500-watt portable power station. Smaller portable batteries are great and all, but they have equally small battery capacities and can't really output too much power either, which isn't exactly helpful for charging up power-hungry laptops like the MacBook Pro here. With this Gressel 500-watt portable power station, though, as the name suggests, you get up to 500 watts of power output and 10 output ports, including 2 full AC or wall outlets, 3 QC USB-A ports, a 60-watt PD USB-C port, a car socket, and 2 12-volt 10-amp DC ports. As for its capacity, the batteries inside hold nearly 520 watt-hours of juice, meaning you can recharge your laptop up to 10 times, your phone up to 44 times, and power other AC or DC devices for several hours, which is nuts. And in the case of the MacBook Pro, you can fast charge it at up to 100 watts with some output to spare. Specifications aside, though, this is a phenomenal product for use outdoors, or better yet, when the power goes out and you need some backup juice. You can even buy a solar panel to plug into the built-in PV input if you really want to be off the grid. Last up, this power station also touts a built-in flashlight, a handle for easy carrying, and a wireless charging pad for added convenience. All in all, this Gressel 500-watt portable power station is a fantastic value if you're in the market for something like this, and I'll leave a link below if you're interested in checking it out. But anyway, back to the review here. Next up, we're going to talk about the chip here, the M4 Pro chip, which seems like a straightforward thing to do, except it's not, because this year things have changed up a little bit, but for the better, really. The base M4 chip acts a lot like the M3 Pro chip from last year, which gives you more bang for your buck. And likewise, the M4 Pro chip is acting a lot like the M3 Max chip from last year, and in some cases, the M2 Ultra chip, which is crazy. So you can squeeze a lot more performance out of this mid-tier chip thanks to, you know, the better architecture and just more powerful individual cores, CPU and GPU wise, although we'll talk about GPU power in a minute here. But yeah, this chip is no joke, so much so that if I upgrade, I'm considering just opting for this. I do want a Mac Studio with like an M4 Ultra, but for a laptop, I think the M4 Pro is quite a lot, you know, for what you're getting, you know, for the money. Same with the M4 chip. But yeah, the M4 Pro chip seems to be a nice sweet spot that gives you way more than enough power in most cases to do what you gotta do. The only reason to opt for a Max chip is if you absolutely need that GPU horsepower. And I do a lot of crazy stuff, 8K video editing, whatever. And even I can't say I definitively need it, at least in a laptop. In a desktop more so, I'd rather spend the money on that. And get double the GPU horsepower, but you know, that's a different video. But yeah, the M4 Pro chip is absolutely no joke, and because it sort of inherits like Max and Ultra performance, yeah, it makes it a very viable option and not sort of a trade-off, you know, if you're sort of avoiding paying more for the Max chip. You don't have to, you know, because, you know, each of these chip, you know, tiers are inheriting the, you know, higher level performance from previous generations, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm very happy to see this because it brings more options and versatility and power to people who otherwise wouldn't be spending more money. But anyway, next up though, and before we discuss GPU horsepower, which is pretty important, so stay tuned for that, we're gonna discuss memory real quick. As you may know, the M4 chip standardized 16 gigabytes of unified memory across the board with the new M4 Max and also previous gen Max that they're continuing to sell, which is great because 8 gigabytes was like inhumane as of 2024, I'm kidding, but not really. So yeah, we got a boost with the M4 Pro chip too, so now we have 24 gigabytes standard, up from 18 gigabytes standard with the M3 Pro and 16 gigs with the M2 Pro and M1 Pro. This is a big deal, more so I would argue for casual stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, having a lot of RAM for intensive stuff is great. So 18 gigs was pretty nice, you know, +2, now +6 for those types of tasks. But, you know, memory swap is used for that. But I'm honestly happy to see 24 gigabytes simply because, you know, I'm someone that uses a lot of Safari tabs. I have a lot of apps open. I'm constantly switching from task to task. So, you know, the more RAM, the merrier there. And of course, it can't hurt for intensive tasks. You know, it sort of gives you some headroom. You can also upgrade to 48 gigabytes, which is a pretty solid amount. Not quite 64, but not a lot of people need 64, even people doing crazy stuff. You know, the M4 Max chip, for example, the binned one comes with 36 gigabytes standard. So if that tells you anything, 48 is pretty solid. But 24 is a great minimum amount of RAM or memory that you can get. So I'm pretty happy about that. Again, it, you know, bolsters, you know, intensive tasks, but also allows you to have more flexibility and speed when it comes to just having a bunch of stuff open, which of course is something you really can't complain about. I mean, how can you complain about getting more for your money? And last, but certainly not least, let's discuss GPU horsepower with the M4 Pro MacBook Pros. I wouldn't say that the architecture or the advancement is like leaps and bounds ahead this year. It's pretty comparable to the 3nm GPU cores that we got last year with the M3 Pro chips and the M3 chips and all that. We just get more of these cores this year. So the M3 Pro chip, the binned one, so the not as good one, had, I think, 14-core GPU, sort of bare minimum, and then 18-core GPU at best, you know, non-binned. This year, we get, at a minimum, 16-core GPU and then 20-core GPU at best. So we get 60% more GPU horsepower opposed to the base chip, opposed to 40% more last year, and then 100% more GPU horsepower compared to the base, opposed to 80% more. So The individual GPU cores are a little more powerful, but they are also greater in numbers. So you're getting more for your money, just like with memory, which is great because, you know, the base M4 chip has pretty decent GPU horsepower for literally anything you throw at it. The Pro chip, specifically that 20-core GPU one, is really generous in terms of performance there. So you can throw, you know, rendering, video editing, gaming at it, no problem. Of course, nothing super crazy, but yeah, it's going to be comparable to a pretty decent, you know, mobile or laptop, you know, GPU from NVIDIA or AMD, which is super sick. I say that because apparently the M4 Max, the 40-core chip, is comparable to I think it was like a 4070 Super or something like that, which is crazy. So yeah, you're getting not only, you know, slightly more powerful GPU cores, but more of them this year, which again sort of screams value to me, you know, more bang for your buck. And thankfully not just with the base M4 models, but with these middle tier, you know, M4 Pro models, which I'm sure I'm about to say this in the outro, are a great sweet spot when it comes to, you know, getting the most for your money. You know, the M4 model obviously is a great value, but you know, you are actually getting quite a bit here for the extra money that you're spending. But yeah, all of this to say, while the base M4 MacBook Pro model definitely gives you the best performance per dollar on paper, it's only up to a certain point, and a lot of us need, you know, more power CPU and GPU wise. So if you're looking for that increased horsepower, I think the M4 Pro models here are a great sweet spot or middle tier option to opt for without spending too little or spending too much. They offer a lot of power once again for the money and a lot of headroom if you want to sort of ease into more intensive tasks over time. I think this is even more so the case compared to the M3 Pro models last year, which gave you more power but not a lot of headroom. So I'm really pleased with these configurations in the M4 Pro category, although again, don't underestimate the M4 base model. It's a great laptop. Watch my review on that. And that about wraps everything up here. I hope this video was helpful. The M4 MacBook Pros are fantastic values, you know, every single model in my opinion, specifically again the base model. So there's never been a better time to upgrade. But yeah, that's all I got to say. Check out my link to Gresscell and their 500-watt power station down below once again. And as always, I'm Noah, and I will catch you all in the next one.